Think of the last time you looked back at your older music maybe 1, 2, 3 years ago. You probably felt one or both of two things while doing that. One, of course, would be that your production knowledge and skills have improved probably drastically since then. But at the same time, it feels like looking back at your older songs, you used to be more creative and inspired than you are now. Almost like music now feels like systematic and like a set of tasks you have to complete to make a quote-unquote good song. And that sucks, and I completely understand how that feels because that same feeling made me almost completely quit music a couple years ago. So this alone leaves me with two questions. Why is it that sometimes looking back at our old selves, it seems we lost some of this creativity and almost experimentalism that we had in our music? And then knowing that, what if we remix some of the old songs I had with the new knowledge I have today of music production? I guess there's only one way to find out. So then I got to work. Basically looking through that project and seeing where I was lacking before when I didn't have as much skill as I have now. I really like the energy and the emotion of, the original chords at the start of the song, the ambience, and then the drums coming in. And I think there's a lot of ideas, just like, I guess, things that we can expand upon there. So let's see what happens. And this is the part of production where you just don't know where to go. So. Thing is, when most of us begin our music production journey, we're kind of like a clean slate. With no prior knowledge, we're kind of in a state of just learning and intaking. And most importantly, because of our lack of knowledge, we're in a phase of extreme experimentation, where we're just experimenting. What can I do? How do things work? What does this knob do? Etc. There's no real aim because you don't really know how to get from point A to point B, so you just kind of aimlessly go around. I mean, after all, you don't know how something sounds until you hear it. There's these reverse parts that I had just kind of lying here. It's basically this melody. I guess I just bounce it out and... So this is just reverse version of that, of the wah wah. And while this seems like a bad thing for the most part, I think it almost creates some sort of purity to what we create at that point in time. Of course, 99% of what we're making is garbage just because we simply don't have the intelligence or skill to properly apply ourselves. But then the rare occasion when some idea does stick, or something that we come up with is actually pretty cool, it's like a huge happy accident. Almost completely opposed to when you have a lot of experience producing, where things can become almost systematic due to you basically knowing everything. I gotta restructure this whole thing. I'm thinking instead of having it so minimal, I'm gonna add more. That's why I'm adding these parts here. Maybe take a little bit of a different direction. I think it just sounded too, not dry because everything's reverbed out, but just not enough texture or movement in a lot of the sounds. The thing about music is it's an art form. It's an expression of yourself. It's trying to kind of express yourself into the DAW somehow. You're not just making systematic or robotic music. There's an emotion you're trying to capture, and I think that can become lost when your music becomes too systematic, when you're just following every tip and trick you've learned as of now. I think it's too often that we can pendulum swing. We start at this point where we know nothing, where everything's experimental, where we basically hardly ever have something that sticks. And then we pendulum swing all the way to everything is too systematic, where things are coming out just from what we've learned, and basically we're just regurgitating all the knowledge that we've learned over time. And then we need to come back to a point where we have this curiosity, this experimentation, while having the skill and knowledge and professionalism as well. I think one of the main reasons that we pendulum swing like this, going from that experimental, pure phase of creating for the joy of creating, all the way to the point of corporate, formulaic, systematic music production where everything's just a step-by-step process. I really think the biggest thing that contributes to that is kind of like I mentioned, becoming what you consume. And I want to go deeper into that. You just think of the journey of production, right? Once you start, you're just intaking all these tips and trick videos, all these very good videos too, about knowledge knowledge on how to produce and how to go, but you're getting something from someone else's experience and you're taking it, I mean, honestly, as like gospel. You're learning what's right and what's wrong, the things you should or shouldn't do. And especially when you're kind of like new to the game, you're kind of easily influenced. I apologize for the audio, by the way. There's like a driveway right there if you couldn't tell. But to think of ourselves, like I mentioned, like an empty box. It's just ourselves in our mind and our own creativity and, you know, authentic selves, if you will. And once you fill it up with things that are, you know, whether it's stimulating things or just information constantly, then you're going to lose the space for yourself to, you know, express yourself in the DAW. Of course, you're getting valuable knowledge, but it's learning that balance between the two. Because obviously when you're starting, you don't even know how to use your DAW properly, how to get the sounds in your head out. So I think there is an importance to the phase of learning what's right and what's wrong, but down the line you have to understand that to stand out in your music, to not have it be, again, formulaic or systematic, you want to then incorporate your own style, right? Honestly, by, in a way, detaching or detoxing from everything you've learned, not taking the how to mix and master all to heart and doing things your own way, experimenting again, you know, having that curiosity, that childlike curiosity. The thing is, like a lot of things in life, it's nuanced. There's the balance you want to hit between professionalism and experimentation, that's crazy. Experimentation, oh my god. You never want to just like hear something from someone, some advice, and just take it for gospel, take it as absolute truth. You want to see the two sides of everything. Paul says to test everything and hold fast to what is true. So you want to look at everything and just hold on to the things you like, right? In this case. So with that said, I think it's time to get back to that track we were making, because while it's pretty different from the original, I think it's turning out pretty cool. Alright, so the mindset that I went in while coming in to produce this was basically going by a 3-step principle, if you will. Number 1 is keeping key elements. Obviously, I didn't want to just scrap it all and make a new song. That would defeat the purpose. So I wanted to use the ideas and have that same similar emotion that I actually captured a year and a half ago. Number 2 is just experimenting. Of course, that's kind of the basis of this video, to be honest with you. I wanted to experiment as much as possible with these elements, also with new elements that I think would fit in. You know, not be afraid to do something very different, have a very different flow, use sounds that I wouldn't normally use, and it ended up being something very different than anything I've ever really made before. And number 3, of course, is using that professionalism that I've learned over time. Trying to mix as well as I can, using sounds that are full, making sure the idea's fleshed out, you know, fills, tiny details that I wouldn't have done a year and a half ago or even have known how to do whatsoever. Using the ear and intuition that I've gained over time, that you can only really gain over time, to really reiterate and kind of reimagine what this song could have been if I made it today. So that was the idea. The song should be out now. I plan on making an album soon, so keep a lookout for that. I might release it with this, to be honest. Check that out in the description. Take a listen to the song.